I want to give a shout out to the Ohio and Indiana tables. I don't know where you are, but you're my people. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. So we're happy to have you all here in DC. We have a lot of new faces in DC, not just yours. We have a new administration, a lot of new members of Congress, and in New York we have a very new Secretary General, but of course we all know him very well, don't we? Antonio Guterres, who was the head of the UN Refugee Agency in the many, many years that we partnered with him and that agency to deliver bed nets to refugees. So he is somebody who already knows the good work that you have been doing and the good work that we need to keep doing, and he knows how to reform that UN institution that we so desperately need. So we are lucky to have him there. So this is a moment when steadfast support could not be more important. Thomas Jefferson said many, many years ago, when it comes to matters of style, swim with the current. When it comes to matters of principle, stand like a rock. And you have to stand like a rock for this issue. There are a lot of issues that are going to be under fire. There are going to be a lot of issues on the cutting room table. This is one that we know has made a difference, can make a difference, and will make a difference if we continue to stand up for it. So I want to say a few words about what I hope you will say when you do your lobby day work. But you are our most effective advocates for ensuring that the U.S. Congress and administration understand the value of global health funding and financing and the UN budget. So you're here from 25 different states. That's pretty darn critical. And you've met with your members of Congress. You've sent letters. You've talked about this in schools, in faith-based institutions, and all the places in your community. You are a powerhouse for good, and that's a really important thing to hold on to right now in this environment. Because with our partners and with the UN, efforts like the President's Malaria Initiative have made a huge difference, and we need to make sure that that fact isn't lost, that the enormous benefits that we've done and created by bringing bed nets to people in so many countries, the story that Rama just told about Senegal, which is where I first saw malaria in action, these are the world's most vulnerable children, and if we can help protect them with a bed net, we have made a genuine difference. I think you've probably seen the reality film that we've produced about Amisa, the 11-year-old girl whose family was finally able to get a bed net. This is a story that we need to tell and that we need to be working toward every day. So this progress has not happened by accident. Progress never happens by accident. It happens because people commit to making difference, people commit to making change, and people commit to inviting others to join them. So the strong action that you all take and the strong action that the U.S. has shown is something that we want to be talking about and proud of. Because strong action and strong leadership from the United States is critical. And so when you're talking to your members of Congress, please talk about malaria, but also talk about how important America's role in the world is. Because we are a strong nation that can be for America first and at the same time be for America around the world. Those are not inconsistent thoughts, and in fact, they are related and linked thoughts. So no surprise where I stand on this issue. I think pulling back from the UN, I think pulling back from our position and strength and leadership around the world would be a mistake. And it wouldn't just be a mistake for the people whose lives are affected on a daily basis by the work some of you do. It's a mistake for the United States itself. And I think you know better than almost anybody, there is no contradiction between saying you care about people around the world and care about people right in our own communities. Those are one and the same. You've shown that. And in fact, we know Americans are better off when we lead in the world, when we step up, when we stand strong. Families who don't have to suffer from malaria can send their children to school, create safer nations. When parents can go to work and children can go to school, we see countries moving from poverty to prosperity, lifting their communities up. That's what we want here. That's what we want everywhere in the world. So that opens up new markets for Americans. It helps us keep countries and communities stable and not dangerous to us. And at the end of the day, we know solving problems through the UN is a bargain. It's a tiny sliver of the budget, less than 0.2%. And look what we get for all of that. So to put it in perspective, and then I'll turn to our expert on this topic, that's the amount that the US population spends on Valentine's Day every year. We certainly can afford that. We certainly can make it something that's value to us and a value to all of our fellow citizens. So I hope you will keep these facts in mind. I hope you will talk to your members of Congress. I hope you will stand firm. Because as our founder, Ted Turner, said recently when he called on all of us to stand up for the UN, now is the time to protect progress, not reverse it. So thank you for being here. Thank you for doing what you've been doing. Thank you for doing even more. And act as if the world depends on it, because it certainly does. Now, thank you. So we have a very special treat. We have somebody who's worked in a previous Republican administration, the George W. Bush administration, for 6 years. Michael Gerson was the policy and planning assistant to President Bush. He was the top speechwriter. He now is a columnist for the Washington Post and a participant in something called Moneyball for Government, focusing on foreign policy. And we're lucky to have him because he was very involved during the creation of PEPFAR, the President's Malaria Initiative, and so many of the government initiatives that have led to the progress that we've seen. So I want to welcome Mike Gerson, and we'll engage in a bit of a conversation and then invite you to join us. Thank you.